What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN. Hit that like button and subscribe, everybody. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are on the 31st of May, sitting here at about 1.678 cents. We had an attempt to break out of this range here. If you put a horizontal line like right here, we had an attempt to break through this range, or maybe it's up here, however you want to look at it, but we did not. We actually snapped back, and now we're up at 1.67 cents. Kind of like a double bottom. It almost looks like this is a higher low. I think it is, or is it it's a slightly lower low, just oh so slightly lower low. So we attempted to pierce the veil and we failed. Right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but this is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. This could save us from going down to 1.4, 1.43 cents. It really could. Yesterday, in the wake of, if we just do this, we take away today, in the wake of these two candles like this, it's very, very clear that we would be going lower than this. Absolutely it is. Unless you do something that's unexpected, which would be to find support here after getting a fake out, as it's called, fake out, right? And this could promote the idea that we are finding support here. I mean, after all, in the RSI, we still are at a relative area that we found support before. So like we found support back here all these times, right? We're literally at that same zone now. So it could happen. It really could happen. With that being said, don't get your hopes too high, and don't be discouraged if we do see lower prices and we do return to like 1.4 cents, 1.45 cents, if we do go below 1.5 cents, right? I'm not completely convinced that we're going down there, but I'm not convinced that we're not either. Looking at this on a 1 hour time frame, maybe it'll help us decide a little bit. I mean, here you have a high in the RSI, that the same areas that you've rejected from before. You've got a higher high in the RSI while promoting a lower high in the price. It's hidden bearish divergence. And yes, you got a lot of volume to come in. There's nothing following through, and you're stopping right at an area to expect you to stop. So I think that this is just a bull trap, probably, or akin to something like this back here, right, where it's just a moment of bullishness, and then then we go lower. You know what I mean? If we could see more growth, if we can continue to grow past, and looking at the 1 hour RSI, I would expect that we pull down a little bit, the hidden bearish divergence and everything, at least down to the 50 to find support, which would probably pull us down to about 1.65 cents. We're at 1.68 cents now, so it's not that far away. We're not talking about big numbers here, but still just technically moving down a little bit. If we're looking at this on a 4 hour time frame, I would say that in order to validate this as a low, what you'd look for is price above basically like 1.96 cents, basically 2 cents, right? That's to validate this as a low, as it is with like this whole range. And make no mistake, it's the same validation level every time, because we're going from the same highs in the same low areas, essentially. Let's take it a step further, because that golden ratio hasn't really worked out for us so far. Maybe to validate this as a low, we need to get up to 2.2 cents. You know what I mean? Something a little bit higher. Close above 2.2 cents on a 4 hour basis, multi 4 hour basis, and then we could confirm this as a low. Until then, it is possible that we could go lower. It is. Looking at the 4 hour RSI, talking about possibilities here, you do have a higher high in the RSI as well, with the lower highs going on throughout here. Hidden bearish divergence. You're right at the 40, an area that you might expect to reject if, in the next 28 hours or 28 minutes and 30 seconds, if we can close this to the downside. We're only up 0.3% right now. If we close this to the downside, it will look like there's a rejection off the 40, and that could set us up for the rest of the day being bearish and continuing down, not just to these lows, but to lower lows, right? Down to that 1.43, 1.45, 1.3 cent area, something in that zone. So, if you want to validate this as a low, don't get too excited until we're probably like up above 2 cents, if not 2.2 cents, right? Because anything that happens here, we can move up and still move down, right? And I think we need to be very, very, very critical at this point in time, because OnyxCoin has played with our emotions. It's toyed with us both to the downside and to the upside several times. So let's be a little bit more strict with the rules, a little more rigid here. Get above 2.2 cents before we get excited. Okay, try to stay level-headed until then. Until then, we're just in this range, but maybe we are moving all the way up there now. I don't know, but that's not my perspective, at least. If I had to guess, in case it's not clear, if I had to guess, I would think that we still go lower. I would. After seeing the 1 hour and the 4 hour RSI, I would think that. But XCN, OnyxCoin, it's known to surprise you, and it's known to defy gravity at times. So it's very possible. And this is why I'm not selling any of my OnyxCoin, right? I haven't sold a lick. I'm not going to, because I very much do believe this thing's going to do very, very well over the coming days, over the coming weeks. I'm surprised that we're still here even right now. It's going to do phenomenal. It's going to do fantastic. And I don't care how low it goes. Drop 20% from here, 30% from here. That doesn't scare me. I'm not selling, because 20 to 30% of a drop versus a 16x move up, I'm not worried about it at all, right? Go ahead, do it. Drop lower so I can buy at cheaper prices. Damn it. Why are you bouncing here and not going lower so I can buy at cheaper prices? You know what I mean? I do believe that we will go a little bit lower, and if not, that's okay. Ultimately, whenever it is time to go higher, whether we move down or not, when it is time to go higher, the target area that we're expecting, I guess it hasn't changed much because we basically had a double bottom there. So 5.5 to 6 cents is the expectation. Inevitably, by the end of June, if not likely actually at this point, sometime in July, OnyxCoin could still top off in June because it moves so fast, but it might be sometime in July that we top off at about 26 to 32 cents. That's the expectation, right? Something at least above 20 cents, at least there. But I don't really think I have anything else that I want to say, guys. We've gone over a lot of stuff. Let's look at some ribbons, and then we'll finish up the video. We haven't checked on the ribbons in a little bit. Sorry, that's annoying. Weekly ribbon. You're right at an area that you'd expect to bounce. Actually, this is good. This is a good look. Even if you went lower, it's fine, right? You can go into the ribbon as long as you get out of it immediately. You don't want to linger in the ribbon. You linger in the ribbon, you'll go below it, right? You don't want to do that. Below the ribbon here is all the way like at 1.1 cent. We don't want to do that. To avoid that, get in, get out, tip it, just like you're doing now. If you go into it again, it's fine. On a weekly standard, just if you're in it and you close here next week, close out of it. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking for. Daily ribbon. Looking to cross to the downside. We're very, very constricted right now. Very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I guess constricted, tight, winding up, right? Getting condensed. That's the word I'm looking for. Condensed. Whenever you condense like this, if you are to reverse it and get the price above the yellow again, that can actually slingshot you up to some higher prices. It really can. Moments like this are actually very bullish setups if you can time it right. And what do I mean by if you can time it right? I mean go lower, go higher, do whatever you want to do. But as long as before this yellow line crosses below the red line, before this gets a bearish cross, if you can slingshot back up above it and prevent that can set you up for some very, very bullish conditions. Very, very bullish conditions indeed, my friends. So daily time frame, I guess, on the ribbon, we're looking for a close. Get some days to close above 1.83. Let's actually it'll tell us right here, 1.83 cents, 1.827. Close above 1.83. As you move up, that yellow line will also move up, so maybe it will even be a little bit above 1.83, but close above that yellow line, get above let's just say 1.9 cents, and that'll put this ribbon in a much more bullish kind of circumstance if we're looking at it there. I don't know what else to, what other ribbons to use, because the monthly you can't use. The 4 hour is basically useless. I mean, it might not be. Let's see. 4 hours bearish. You're finding resistance on it now. Suggested that you go lower, I guess. But you shouldn't use this ribbon on like shorter term time frames. It's not as reliable. It's a lot more volatile, you know. Let's look at the MACD and stuff, and then we'll wrap this up. Get rid of the accumulation distribution and the MFI. We don't need those. I don't want the LRO. We're pretty confident in the short-term stuff. You know what? Maybe we can look at the LRO real quick, actually. Let's look at the 1 hour. It might help us out. Yeah, not really. No. If you go below this low, you're still in a downtrend is what that's saying. Here, the LRO would say if you get above 1.83 cents, that's a good thing, right? And that lines up with the ribbon as well. So I'm still sticking with that 2.2 cent area personally. But yeah, not much on the LRO there. Let's get rid of that. So the MACD here, crossing bearish. You've been bearishly crossed for a while. You're at the zero level, right? The zero line right here on the MACD, you're right there. This is an area that you look to find support typically, right? We actually found support on it back here even. We found support right here before we had our nice rally up. So I wouldn't expect that we drop too much lower, but a little bit lower might happen. The blue line can go below the yellow or below the zero. It's the red line that you want to keep above the zero. So this would imply that we probably get some kind of reversal over the coming days to the upside. That doesn't mean that we're ripping like this, but we could. You never know. You can get green readings in the MACD like this and move up your MACD without breaking out, right? We had that here. So it doesn't imply that we're going through our next breakout phase, but it might imply that we're at our lows or around our lows if we bounce off the zero line here. Looking at the stochastics are starting to cross up, but the red line is not. So we need both of those to cross up. We need both of them to get into the band before things get too exciting. Being in the oversold zone does leave room to wiggle to the downside. So if today closes red, I don't think that this would be pointed up anymore. I think that it would be pointed down. And only one of them's pointed up anyway. So still kind of bearish on this. Nothing really too indicative there. Yeah, what about the 3-day time frame? 3 days looking like it has a little bit lower to go. Same thing with the RSI, same thing with the MACD. So I do think we go a little bit lower. I'm pretty confident that we do see prices that are lower than this and that we do see prices below 1.5 cents. But if we don't get your feelings hurt, right? This is why we buy and we hold and we don't sell and we just buy more, right? Because even here at this price, 1.67, with the prospects of dropping down to like 1.3 cents or 1.4 cents, even with those prospects, it's still a great time to buy. You're still a good bit a ways away from your relative high and a good bit of ways away from your all-time highs. We got a lot of growth to go. I don't have anything else that I want to say, so I'm going to end it there. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I think we're going to move down over the coming days, and then we're probably going to move up either sometime next week or the week after. Don't be surprised if we do have one more boring week ahead of us. But this next week could be the week, but sometime soon, guys. June is going to be the month that we do see 26 or maybe not 26 cents, but that we do break out of this range and get up to prices that are, I would say, at least by the end of June, we got to at least be at like 8 cents, 10 cents, right? And then maybe sometime in July, we're at 26 to 32 cents. But this will be the month that we break out and we see new highs for the cycle. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, bye-bye. Take care. See you on the next one. Adios. Konnichiwa.